everybody, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing fantastic. This is a special dedication eye look for a very lovely lady who has a birthday. So Susie, this is for you, and you know which Susie you are. We are doing the SassyEyes HardCandy eyeshadow palette. I will be doing a review on this palette, and at the end of this video I will actually do a look using this palette. So if you're interested in that, by all means stay tuned. And as for my special friend, happy birthday. I love you, sweetheart. Please enjoy. So here's a look at the HardCandy Sultry eyeshadow palette. This is the exterior of the case. Flip it over and it gives some eye looks. And it's a hard tin case. And when you open it, you see inside you have a mirror up here, and then this in here is sealed, and this gives you different examples of eye looks you can do with it. Inside the cellophane wrapper, which I'm sorry about the reflection, but you can see that there is an eyeliner pencil, an application device, and then some eye primer. Now the shades that are in this, as you can see, there's some satin, a bit of shimmer shades, and then it looks like a matte shade here. So we'll open this and do some swatches. Okay, as we're looking at the inside of the palette, here's your eye look pamphlet. These are suggested eye looks that you can do. These are the names of the shades. Okay, so as we're looking at the inside of the palette, you can see that this is you can see some micro glitter in here. I would call this more of a matte shade with some micro glitter. This is a matte shade. I would call this a satin. This is a medium shimmer, not a high shimmer, lilac. This is a shimmer type of taupe, a shimmer kind of golden color. I'd call this a satin with a kind of dusty, mauvey, taupey feel to it. This here is you can see there's micro glitter in it, and it is kind of a peachy, pinky with a hint of taupe to it. And then this shimmer shade that is a bit of a taupey bronze color, but on the very, very light end of the spectrum. And then as you can see, you have an eyeliner here, an application device, and your eyeshadow primer. Now I'll go ahead and swatch some of these for you guys. So we'll do some finger swatches here. We'll start with this shade here. And to the feel, you can feel the micro glitter in there. So I'll swatch these on my hand here. And you can see they're very, very light. You can see the micro glitter showing up in this one. Okay, now we'll swatch this row here, starting with the very shimmery gold color. The taupe, and then the lilac. Now keep in mind this is not prime skin, it's just clean skin. So this shade here is the lilac, so I'll pick up a little bit more of that because that is coming off very, very light. Really a beautiful, beautiful shade. Okay, and now we'll swatch this last row, starting with the darkest shade. This is a matte shade right here that I have my finger in right now, and I would call this last one a satin. Overall impression of all of these shades, this is very much like I suspected it was going to be. Has a very much of a matte type of a texture, but with the micro glitters. This is very much a matte shade, and to me this seems like a satin semi-matte type of shade. As you saw, these were very much shimmery. This is what I would consider a satin shade. This shows up more of a semi-satin matte, kind of a cross in between, and this shows up as a medium shimmer shade. The texture on these is very decent and the pigment seems to be pretty good. So I will be doing an eye look with this palette, and when I do, I will share that with you guys. If you're interested in seeing that, by all means stay tuned, and that'll be towards the end of this video. Okay, we're going to get right into this eye look using this HardCandy Sassy Eye, and I went ahead and I've pre-done the rest of my face, and I did go ahead and use the eyeshadow primer that comes in this little eyeshadow palette. And so I'm going to be picking up a fluffy brush, and I'm going to be applying, actually I want a flat shader, so I'm going to do my brow bone highlight first. I want to start with the lightest color first and then work my way to the darkest shades. So I'm going to be picking up, if you're looking at this palette, it's the shade that's right in between here, and that shade is called, according to the little pamphlet thing that comes in there, that shade is called Sweetheart. So I'm going to be picking up the shade Sweetheart on a flat smudger brush. And this shade is actually, it has some micro glitter in it, not a ton, and usually, and I'm tapping this off because these are a little bit, this is kind of, in my opinion, this is like a matte satin shade, and the micro glitter that's in here probably isn't going to stick, so it'll probably disintegrate as the day goes on. So I'm just adding this to my brow bone highlight area, and yes, you're going to see some glitter transfer. There's not a ton of glitter in this, but you will see some transfer. And so now I'm just pulling that down a little bit into the crease line. Yeah, I have a feeling that those micro glitters are just gonna wind up on my face later on in the day. Oh, well, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I'm not big into micro glitter. That's not really my thing, but this palette was just too cute to pass up. Okay, so now I'm going to be getting into, I want to start building my transition color for my my crease line, to build my crease line. So now I will be picking up a fluffy brush. This is my Sedona lace brush. If you don't have one like that, one like this will be just fine. I know a friend of mine who has this palette and wants to get familiar with using it, will be using a brush like this. So for this purpose, I will go ahead and use this brush. So I'm going to be picking up this shade right here, and that shade is called, that one is called, oh, my eyesight, Innocence. So I'm going to be picking up the shade Innocence. It's just great not being able to see. I'm going to be loading that up on this brush pretty good. I'm going to just start patting that in to build my transition here. And yes, this shade does have some shimmer. And so I'm building it into the crease line. Other side, pat it in first. Okay. So using the same brush, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick up this matte shade that's right in the center here. Yeah, I think that's, well, I don't know. I kind of like this one. But no, I think I'm going to go for this one right here. This is a matte shade. And that one in the center is called Smarty Pants. So I'm going to be picking up Smarty Pants. I'm just loading that up right on the edge. I'm going to go ahead and go right. I'm going to be building my socket line right in there. And if you guys follow me, you know that I'm going to go ahead and pull that color down onto the lid in that outer third. And you know that when you're trying to build your crease color, oops, that you have to actually, you know, you're going to have to look straight on and see so that it doesn't just disappear. You have to actually create that crease. So you can see right there it is on me. And now I'm just going to be patting that in to the crease line and bringing it down a little bit. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, so I won't bore you with that. I'll come back in a second. So now that I've got that color applied there, we're just going to go ahead and blend that up a little bit. Just to take off the harsh edges. So there we go. Now picking up a angled, you know, this works really well as a, see, it's a very defined, more of a, you know, for creating your brow line, but this works really well for help cutting the line on your outer V. So because I want to do that, I am going to be picking up this right here, and I'm picking up the darkest color in this palette, which is called Miss Attitude. So I'm going to be picking up Miss Attitude. Just going to take the very tip of my brush and just set it into the shadow. Just kind of press it in there, and then I'm going to tap off any excess. I'm going to be putting it right on that outer V and into the socket line, just like that, for the very, very outer V. Just like that. Gonna do the same thing on the other side. Now that I have that out on that outer edge, I'm just gonna use the edge of this brush to help blend that into and soften that edge into the corner and pull that in like that. Same thing on the other side. And I'm going to just pull that darker shade onto the lid, just like that. Okay? Okay, now picking up a medium size smudger brush, I'm going to be getting back into that center shade that I was at for cutting my crease out here. Be picking that up on the edge of this. I'm going to be pulling that down onto the lower lash line, just to the center of the eye, and smudging it out just a little bit. Same thing with the other side. Now that that's applied, now we're going to be taking a more narrow, see, this is very, very narrow compared to the last one. If you look at the other smudger that I used, where did I put it? Okay, this is the other smudger that I used. See how that one's more wide? And this one's really, really defined and narrow. So I'm going to be taking this really defined one and just taking the very tip and loading that very tip up with that darkest shade. And I'm going to be coming right into the lash line with this. Better tap off any excess. Right into the lash line. Okay, just like that. And to the center of the eye. Okay, like that. Okay, now for the lid color, I'm getting a fairly large flat shader brush, and I'm going to be picking up this color right here, which is the color called Angel. I'm going to be loading up both sides of this brush to be picking up that color. And just applying that right on the lid. Now, I might want to intensify that just a little bit. So I think I will go ahead and get my set spray and make this wet so I get a little bit more intensity out of this look. So I'm just going to be using my e.l.f. set spray. I'm just going to be spraying this on the back of my clean hand, dipping my brush right into it. So that I have some of the liquid, and then I'm going to be picking up that same shadow. And boom, that just really intensified that lid. Okay, so now that I am done with this palette, I will go ahead and put my eyeliner on, my mascara, and come back and show you the finished look. Okay, so here's my overall impressions of the HardCandy Sassy Eyes palette. I think it's pretty good. For $8, you cannot complain. I think it made a really pretty sultry looking eye. I really like how it turned out. I'm not too concerned about the bits of glitter that are in this shadow and this one that I used on my brow bone, because they just don't seem to really, although it was, you know, I mean, it did show up on the eye. I don't see it like it falling out all over my face or anything like that. And I don't see that it really transfers a lot onto the lid, which in my opinion is a good thing, because I don't want all that glitter up there at my age. So at any rate, all in all, is it worth the money? Absolutely, it's worth the money. I did use the eye primer in here. I like the eye primer. I think it's a pretty decent eye primer. And if I were you, when you're going to apply the colors in your crease line, if you use the same ones that I used, remember to use a patting technique first when you're applying your shadows, and then start blending. So yeah, all in all, I think it's a great little palette, definitely well worth the money. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment bar down below. Happy birthday, Susie. This is for you. I love you, sweetheart. Use your palette. I hope this gives you an eye look that you can use and that you'll find helpful. So happy birthday, and this is for you, sweetheart. God bless.